Right, so welcome back to this course. So from this video onwards, we'll be building a project which is a to-do app, and you will see the steps we are going to take to create the to-do app. So the first thing we have to do is to set up our database. Open your terminal and log in to PSQL with any user you want, the user you created, and you can just start from the default database, which is Postgres. Enter the password. Then from here, we have to create our database. Then we just use the SQL command to create our database. The SQL command is create database, then the name of the database, to app. If it returns create database, then there is no error. The other thing is to assign a user. To assign a user to the database. And we are going to use the user we have here, which is student. So we use another SQL command, grant all privileges on database to-do app to student. Now if it returns grant, then we know we have no error. So our database has been created. So to shift to that other database, /c, then to-do app. Now you are connected to database to-do app. So our database has been created. Now let's go back to our Flask app to see the structure of the database. Now in our Flask app, in our model style, we already have the DB is equal to SQL output. And now one thing we have to note is, before we started using the MVC pattern, before we just decided to use separation of concerns, we always have something like this, DB is equal to SQL output, and we have something like app in the middle. But since we are not going to be doing this in the main file, what we are going to do here is come back to our app file, then register the app with the DB. That will be db.init app, then we have our app. So in that way, we have registered our app. Instead of doing db is equal to SQL kemi whatever. So we register our app like that. The other thing we need to do is import Flask migrate. So from Flask migrate, import migrate, and also make sure the virtual environment is active. Make sure the virtual environment is active and it is also running your VS Code interpreter. Just make sure that is on. So after we register the database with the app, we are going to register the migration also. So migrate is equal to migrate app, DB. So we have registered our app and database on Flask migrate. So what we have to do is to complete our modules. Now we are going to create a to-do app, and the to-do will be in such a way that there is going to be a to-do list. Each to-do list we have activities to do. Each to-do list we have activities to do. For example, a to-do list can be buy food items. Then the list of activities could be get up, go to the store, withdraw some money, and something like that. So let's create a class which will be to-do list. db.model, because it's going to be a model of our database. Then let's give it a table name. So the table name should be to-do list. To-do list. Table name should be to-do list. So what we're going to have is always have an ID as the primary key. The ID will be db.column Also, it's going to be an integer, and this is our primary key, so we have to include it here. Equal true. After the ID, it is going to have a name. It's going to have a name. It's going to have a name. So the name is whatever we want it to be. Maybe cook food. Then in the to-dos, we can now have go to the market, buy the ingredients, buy the recipe, and whatever we need to do. So dd.column. This is going to be a string. Now dd.string. And do not forget the opening and closing braces in the string method. Nullable is false. Nullable is false. So that's it. Now let's check our other one. Other database. Let's make this to-dos. Okay, so the first one, we have ID, we have description. Then not only description, we should be able to see if it is completed or not. If that particular activity has been done, you should be able to know that. So dd.column, dd. Now we are going to use a boolean because completed can only have two values, true or false. So it is going to be a boolean. Then we don't want it to be null. Nullable is equal to false. Nullable is equal to false. Now there is something we also have to do. We can give it a default value of false, so that maybe when we create a new to do and we don't even need to insert a value, we can just have a default value of false. So that can be there like that. And another thing is we need a list ID. Like I said, a to-do list, each to-do list we have multiple to-dos, that is multiple activities to do. So the multiple activities for a particular to-do list needs to be identified by that particular list. So we can have something here, list ID, that is the particular list that it belongs to. For example, if we have a list here, if we have a list, maybe the list is cook food, and under cook food we have withdraw some money, go to the market, and also we have buy the ingredients. Now withdraw some money has to have a list ID that this cook food has, because it is under the same to do. It is still that particular to do that we are working on. So every activity under this to do list needs to have the same list ID, and that is how we get into our relationships in Flask database. So we are going to see a simple example of one-to-one relationship and how to make that particular model in Flask database. So this list ID is just going to be the ID that is here. The ID that is going to be in this to-do list is what we are going to pass back inside this list ID. So that is a one-to-one relationship. So let's see how the syntax works in Flask. So we have dd.column, dd.integer. Remember, it's an integer. So dd.integer, comma. Then it is going to be a foreign, because it is from a separate table. It is from a separate table, so it is going to be a foreign list. And what do you want it to be? It is this to-do list, this particular to-do list here. The ID of this to-do list, that's what we want to pass in here. So that if we are creating any to-dos, under a particular to-do list, it will pass in the ID to this to-do. So what we're going to have is foreign key. We're going to pass in the name of the table and the column that we want, which is to-do lists dot ID. Yes, we are going to reference the ID. Then comma no label is equal to false. We don't want the value to be nullable. So let's add more things here. We'll add more things here. Remember what the wrapper done that method does. It helps to create a format for our print statement, so that when you print, maybe you create a new to do and you print it out, the format and the structure you want it to come out in. That's what the wrapper done that method does. So completed. Self.completed. And you can also have list ID self.list ID. Okay, let's also create a wrapper method for the to-do list. Return f to-do list ID self dot ID, and we have the name self dot name. So after creating the list ID that is going to reference the ID from the to-do list, we also need to create a back reference here that will be able to identify it, so that if we make a manipulation on this to-do list, it should be able to affect this. For example, if I have a to-do list which is cook food, and I have some activities relating to that particular to-do list here, if I delete the to-do list here, all the activities relating to it should also be deleted. So we are going to have a back ref. When we have the back ref is now we can have to do, because it's to do equal to, don't worry, that won't be a new column, it's just a back reference. So we have db.relationship, and we put in the class, name. Okay. Back ref. The back ref, you can just give it any name. You can just call it list. That is the list of the things that we are going to do. And there is also a method we are going to put here, which is lazy. True. Now, what this lazy method does is, what it just does is that, when we execute SQL statements, there are some times whereby we join different tables. So what lazy does is, if you want the joining to occur only when you request for it, when lazy is set to true, that will happen only when you request for the particular data. That is when the table will be joined. But when it is not being requested, that joining command won't occur. But if lazy is set to false, then automatically as the app starts, the joining will occur. So that's just about it. So in the next video, since we have created our models, in the next video we are going to run the migration command so that we'll see our database and see how it works. Maybe all the structures we have created, the tables, the columns, maybe they will work in our database.